we've looked at all of the different ways that you can gel your strobes. And now we're going to actually put it together. So since you understand all the terminology, all the different uses of gels, I'm going to use this strobe by strobe, light by light, and explain exactly what I'm thinking. All right, so first of all, we're going to start with our white light. I'm going to start with a beauty dish and a grid off to the left-hand side of the frame. I'm remembering that the placement of that light is going to create shadows, and those shadows are going to allow gels to absorb in them. So right now, the way that she's facing, I have about a split light on her face, so I'm actually going to turn her just a little bit to her right so that I get a little bit more light underneath the eye. So can you turn this direction for me? Perfect. Lean forward just a tiny bit. Great. Chin that way, just right there. Beautiful. Okay. So I'm starting with my main light, sculpting the light on the face, and I chose a beauty dish because I'm going to have a little bit more drama and sculpting to the shadows, but a beauty dish is still relatively soft light, so it's flattering on the skin. Okay, so light number one, main light taken care of. Light number two is I'm going to add my fill light. My fill light I have placed off to the right-hand side, and I'm using a zoom reflector, which means it's harder light, more specular. You're going to see brighter highlights, a little bit more saturation, and I've added a blue gel. So let's add that in, and you're going to see exactly where the shadows currently are in this first photo. Perfect, and chin that way a little, right there. Perfect. Great. All right, so I've got really rich blue fill to the shadows. Now, I can also gel my background. And so I can pick a number of colors. We're going to talk about color theory and the way I choose colors in depth. But for now, let's start with a magenta gel. So Stephen, can you turn that light on in the background there? We're using a zoom reflector, which means the light isn't going to be completely even on the background. If I wanted a perfectly even background, I would either put the light exactly behind my subject on a floor stand with a bare bulb to get more spread. I'd move the light even further back, or I would use two lights with umbrellas. So let's see how this looks and how even or uneven the background is and if I need to make any tweaks. Okay. Okay. All right, so the background is looking pinkish purple, and the reason it's got a little bit of that purple tone is because this fill light in the front, it is spreading and it's reaching the background. So I've got magenta, but you'll see a little bit of purple tones on the side. If I didn't want that fill light to be interacting with the background, I could add a grid to it because grid will make the light fall off faster. So I would actually be able to restrict where it is, or I could move the subject, the main light, and the fill light further from the background, and that would help prevent the contamination between the two of them. I like what it looks like, but so far we've added our main light, our fill light, our background light, and then our last light, we're going to add a rim light. The rim light I've decided for this shot is I'm going to add another magenta because that color, it's kind of a random color. I feel like if I add magenta to the side of her face, to her hair and her jawline, it'll unify her with the background a little bit more. So, Stephen, will you turn that on for me? And I've added barn doors so that I'll have a little bit harder light, and you'll notice the height of that. The height is so that it lights the top of her hair, acts as both a rim light and a hair light. Okay, perfect, just like that. Just right there. Perfect, so subtle rim light. Right now, light looks nice on her, but I want to play around a little bit. So of course, we've got the white light is what she's facing as her main light. But there's no reason that that can't also be, say, the rim light. In other words, I can move my subject around, and you should try it, but as you move your subject, the light is going to totally change. Because right now she's facing, so that beauty dish is a main light. She turns the other direction, now it's a rim light, and that blue gel is going to become your main light. So the way that you pose and move your subject will completely change the patterns of light on the face. So as you're looking at the setups that I've done, and if you copy them exactly, if my model is facing one direction and yours is facing the other, the results are going to look very different. So for example, you face this way, perfect. Keep going, and then chin, look right into this light, great, beautiful. And then look your eyes this way as well. Now looking at this photo, I think that if the white light is meant to be a rim light, it's probably wrapped around a little bit too much. It's a little bit too dominant in the frame. So Stephen, can you real quick move that main light back just a little bit? It's the white light, the beauty dish. And can you face this way again? So I'm just gonna have you scoot it back that way and then chin this way. So instead of wrapping around so much, we're gonna go that way. Go in, bring it around. There you go. So now it's going to be more of a rim light. Good. Perfect. So we've seen that you can have many different lights with all different colored gels, and each one has a different role. Each one is serving a different purpose in the shot. The next thing that I want to show you is a little secret. And the little secret is that it's not that Photoshop or post-processing makes the shot, but there is a ton of creative control you can achieve with your raw processing. Whether you're using Lightroom or Capture One, the way that you change your white balance, your color temperature, or your tint will drastically change your results. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot some frames of this, and then we're going to pop over and take a look, because throughout this course what you're going to see is you're going to see me regularly tweaking in my post-processing. And I might be making these changes, but it makes a drastic difference to the end result. All right, so let's get a great shot here.